All right, folks, guess what? We're not going to show you the bell today. You know why? It's markets closed. Banks are closed. Markets closed. June 19th, a Thursday. June 19th. Must be some sort of holiday. I'm kidding. It's Juneteenth, folks. So, but I just don't understand why markets and banks should be closed. Why is this a federal holiday today? The whole federal government is off today, but not this guy. My first guest has been in government for more than 34 years in one way, shape, or form or another, starting with the U.S. Border Patrol in Laredo, Texas, and working his way up to chief in 2017. In 2018, he was nominated by President Trump to lead both components of Homeland Security, which are ICE and Customs and Border Patrol. He's now the senior advisor for Customs and Border Protection. Welcome, Ron Vitiello. Ron, really good to have you back, my friend. It's been a while.
Glad to be back.
So the soundbite I keep hearing, it's really stunning, actually, is that for the month of May, there were 0 illegals released into America. For the month of May under Donald Trump, this May, 0 illegals released into America. Maybe the first time since they've been keeping records, and certainly a lot higher than well, there you go, 62,000 in May of 2024. What about that? Congratulations. How you doing it?
Well, it's great. You know, the front line always had the ability to secure the border if they were given the right tools. And obviously, we have the right leadership at the White House, Secretary Noem at the Department of Homeland Security and Tom Homan helping all of us empower the front line, giving them the tools. And it's not just the front line of CBP and DHS, but it's also, 10,000 heroes from the Department of Defense. We have the Justice Department has gone leaning way in on felony prosecutions, misdemeanor prosecutions for those people who cross the border illegally. The State Department working in the hemisphere and outside of the hemisphere, making sure that countries take back the detainees who have been ordered removed by judges here in the United States. And so the interagency led by Stephen Miller is working in a way, my 40 years around this business, I've never seen it as effective as it is right now, and more to come. What we've done so far has to be sustained. We have to get some of these courts and these liberal judges out of the way so the front line can continue to advance on the principles of a safe America and a secure border. But it is about the leadership. It is about the will to make sure that the president gets what he ran on behalf of the American people.
Ron, it strikes me that you close the border. In essence, there were no illegals. And again, folks, it's not that no illegals came across the border. There were apprehensions, but the apprehensions are substantially down. You can talk about that, Ron. But folks need to understand that during the entirety of the Biden administration, they would let illegals go. They catch them, they let them go into the heart of America. They give them a ticket and say, show up to court. And sometimes that court date, Ron, correct me if I'm wrong, 5-7 years in the future. And so they hang out for 5 or 7 years, they're not vetted, and they just live here. And they live and they suck up our resources. And now you guys shut it down. Is this a fair assessment?
Yes, we got about a 95% decrease in activity of physical illegal border crossings, which gives you about 100% increase in the capability of the men and women of the front line, right? Instead of processing people and getting them through the system so that they can be released. And if conservative estimates, there's about 20 million people that came in under Biden, 11 million via their records. And they said 85% of them were released into the U.S. And like you said, they will not show up for their court dates, even though they're claimed asylum at the border. All of that nonsense is over. So you've got this increased capability at the line. You have consequences for those who come. They're more likely to get arrested. They're more likely to get prosecuted, and they will be removed quickly back home. And what that does, instead of encouraging people like we did under Biden, like they did under Biden, now people understand that there's a consequence. So they're choosing to stay home. And so that reduces the activity at the border, increases the capability. So drug smuggling is down as well in the case of, Border Patrol agents are seeing more cocaine, more fentanyl, and more marijuana because there's more of them out there watching the sensors, patrolling the border, and chasing those who continue to try to invade.
So I want to talk about the Border Patrol, the agents, the individual agents who are finally allowed to do their job. And we'll talk about what the instructions were over the prior 4 years and the instructions now. But in the meantime, Caroline Leavitt addressed this in the briefing room today. Take a listen.
According to newly released numbers, last month, Border Patrol saw a 93% decrease of illegal aliens crossing the southwest border between ports of entry from May 2024 under Joe Biden, when they encountered more than 117,000 illegal aliens. And this particular statistic is absolutely astounding. In the month of May, under the Trump administration, 0 illegal aliens were released into our country by Border Patrol. Let me say that again. Not a single illegal alien was released into the interior of the United States of America last month under this administration.
And that's backing exactly what we were just chatting about. Ron, tell us now what the question I posed prior to that soundbite of what's the morale like for these border agents who've really, for the first time in 4.5 years, 4+ years now, they're enabled. They're told they can go ahead and do the job that they're hired to do.
That's right. These men and women of the front line are dedicated to the Constitution and the American people. They want to do their jobs. Look at any recruiting video online, out in the brush, chasing things on motorcycles, on ATVs, on horses and helicopters, on foot. They're people of action. They want to serve this country, and now they have the tools to be able to do it. So instead of encouraging people to come across the border, we're discouraging them. And so morale is 1,000% better under this president. And recruitment is doubled since January 20th. So people are electing to come back they've gone back to work on the line on the physical border. And so the stress that they saw, all the misery that they saw under the Biden administration is now not affecting them or their families, right? This workforce is motivated. They know they have someone in the Oval Office that wants to protect them and give them the tools that they need to succeed. And so it's just great to see their success and recognizing how well they can perform if someone lets them.
Ron Vediello we're talking to. So what are the numbers now for the apprehensions? I remember, when Trump was his last few months of presidency, the last year, in April and May, the number was like 17,000 total apprehensions. Then it spiked into the 250,000, 300,000 per month under Joe Biden. What are they now?
Yeah, let me give you an example. If you average out the 2024 cycle while Joe Biden was president, the Border Patrol encountered, that's not counting the gotaways, that's not counting the people who escaped. They encountered 5,100 people every single day. Every 24 hours, 5,100 people cross the border illegally, contrary to the law. Right now, the 7-day average for encounters at the border is 230.
Wow.
That's it. In 24 hours. So we went from 5,000 to 200. So that gives those agents the ability to save more lives. That's like a half of 1%.
It's like a 99.5% decrease in apprehensions.
And what that does is that it improves their capability at the physical border, but it also improves their ability to find people who are in distress and save their lives in the desert. It gives them the ability to interview children who may be trafficked by the adults that they're traveling with. It allows them to investigate smugglers and put charges against people who are facilitating entry into the United States. So it makes them better at what they do because now they have the time and the space to be effective.
Joe Biden never talked about it. The border czar, named border czar by Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, never talked about the issue of the border. Alejandro Mayorkas, the border, basically the DHS chief, secretary, said the border is not broken. What do you want to say? Let's be real honest here, Ron. Let's just lay it on the line. Let's talk to the liberal Democrats, the progressives, who will either see this or hear about this interview later. What do you want to say to the folks who said Mayorkas never thought there was a problem at the border, nor did Biden nor Harris? What's the real scoop?
Well, we have real leadership in place. Kristi Noem at the Department of Homeland Security, Tom Homan is the real border czar, not the fake border czar that we had under Biden. And we have a real president, an authentic president who is delivering on the promises he made on the campaign trail on behalf of the American people. So we have a president.
Ron, I'm asking you a question. Should Alejandro Mayorkas be brought in front of a Senate or a House hearing, and should he risk jail time for what he did?
We should never be in a situation where him or the president or the vice president can allow the border to be deteriorated in the way that he did it. And so, yeah, Senate investigations, get him under oath to talk about who was really in charge at the White House. We now know that President Biden was not cognizant of all the things that were going on. And so the border is an example. In his whole lifetime, 48 years in politics, he never advocated for an open border. I'm not sure he said it while he was the president either. So who was responsible for the destruction and the misery that was going on in those 4 years?
Destruction, misery, increased crime, use of our resources. They lied, and they lied. I want to see them perp walked. American people want to see these folks perp walked. And, a Senate hearing, congressional hearing, that's fine, but they need to then make the recommendation to the Department of Justice so that Pam Bondi can go in and say, we are going to do a full-scale investigation into this, and if we find that they were lying and people are hurt because of these lies, and they were, we can prove they were, we know the numbers, throw them in jail. Throw them in jail. People died because of their lies.
Yeah, it was completely irresponsible. They betrayed the oath of their office and the American people.
Ron, continue to do good work. Please send it up the food chain. Homan and Nome gave me the opportunity to ride with some ICE and Border Patrol, and there was Rangers, Army Rangers were there. It was amazing. It was a great ride. You guys are locking it down, and these folks, I'm telling you, these folks want to do their job. I'm sure they're pretty pissed off about laying around, not watching all the illegals come across and not being able to do what they knew they were supposed to do. Ron Vidiel, thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me on.
Keep doing a great job, my friend. Before I head to break, just want to remind you about my podcast, YouTube page, both updated daily. All you have to do is hit subscribe on one of those areas at the bottom. You got that phone number? Mad Dog or Ben? Ben, you got that phone number for the voicemail? Throw up the slate if you have it. Folks, we're going to listen to some of your voicemails towards the end of the show today, and some of them are unbelievable. They're great. That's the number. Call, leave your name, make it short. We'll get to yours. Hopefully we get to yours. I read them all, listen to them all. We'll get to the ones we can air on TV, as many as we can. We'll be back in 2.5 minutes. All right, folks, let's do this next guest, retired Air Force Special Ops Commander, Major Glenn Ignazio, who joins us to update us on the Israel-Iran conflict. Major, thank you so much for joining us. Wow, it's just moving so fast. Today, President Trump and Caroline Leavitt said that this is interesting. Well, I think we have it. Let's take a listen to Caroline Leavitt. We have it? Do we have it?
I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks."
So I parse these things. This was a statement Caroline Leavitt delivered from President Trump. I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks. May or may not take place. I will make my decision within the next 2 weeks. Meaning he's not going to wait 2 weeks. He could decide today, tomorrow, or up to 2 weeks to decide whether he's going to, if it's go time. And it still might happen. So what are your thoughts on, will the U.S. be involved in more kinetic nature of what's going on in the Middle East?
I mean, to absolutely put a cap, not just for today, but for many years or possibly permanently, the entire threat that Iran could have a nuclear weapon or anything, I think that this facility in Fedora has to go. That's where they've been hiding it. And honestly, because of how deep it is, Israel doesn't have those particular weapons. We only do. And I think that would end it. And I think the biggest thing is people understand this is a tactical strike. This is not a war. I feel like we have to educate some politicians here, but it's just a tactical strike. We're getting in, we're getting out. That's our exit criteria. We close the door on the Iranian threat and all their proliferation to any of their terrorist factions. To me, that seems like a pretty matter of fact.
So, Major, let's do it this way. I agree with you. I think you need that. We have a bomb that has actually two bombs. One precedes the second one. It busts open the ground. The second one gets in deeper and explodes deeper. We have that. Can't we just sell it to Israel and let them deploy it?
Well, it weighs 30,000 pounds, each one. Each one weighs 30,000 pounds. It's about 20 feet long and about 3 feet in diameter. So the important part about this, because of penetration, so it has to be dropped high altitude. It has to be dropped very fast. So it has that energy to get 200 feet down. In all honesty, you could drop this out of a C-130, but the problem is that they can't fly as high and they can't fly as fast. So all that energy it needs to get deep, about 200 and something feet down, B-2 is the only thing that can carry it. And so that's what really puts it on the United States shoulders.
So Major, again, we'll sell them a B-2 and sell them a handful of these whatever they're called. What's the name of this bomb? It's not a bunker buster. It's something else, right? It's a more high-tech bomb.
Massive ordnance penetrator is what they're calling it. The MOP, I guess.
The MOP, massive ordnance penetrator. The MOP things up, certainly MOP. So we sell them, or we lease them. We don't want them to have the technology. We lease them, a B2, and then take it back afterwards. I mean, you can't say we pushed the button, right?
Well, yeah, you got a good point there, but you also have to learn how to fly B2. That's going to take some months. It's going to take a long time. That's you're looking at a significant amount of time. So could you put it in the Israeli force? Well, selling the B2, a lot of those classified stealth secrets, we'd be giving it away. So the plausibility of Israel doing this, like in some kind of loan like that, I just don't see it happen. And again, it would take many months to even just train pilots to be able to put it on target.
So what are your thoughts then? Okay, barring the use of this amazing technology bomb, should we again? There's a big split in the MAGAverse right now, and there's certain groups that say don't do it. We elected Trump on not going to any more wars, and the other group is saying wipe Iran off the map because it'll be safer everywhere. I fall in between both of them right now, but I'm not going to. I think we trust Donald Trump. I think we just trust Trump no matter what. But what do you, as a military person, think the American people should be expecting?
Yeah, well, first of all, we always want the safety of our aviators out there. And right now, the entire airspace has been dominated by Israel. So the aircraft are both, they're stealthy and we have the safety there. But the biggest thing is, and again, people have to understand, it's like, look, if we say, and this is where we've been bad in the past many years, Afghanistan and everything else, is what our exit criteria is. If we're saying our entry is to strike that only target and get out, that's our exit criteria, and that's it. That's very definitive. And again, it's a tactical target, a tactical event. We're not talking about war. We're not talking about invading the country, boots on the ground. That would be absolutely stupid. I don't see that happening. But if Israel cannot take that facility out in any other way, which we don't really see anything plausible, then this would shut the door. And again, we have to think about it. It's not just Iran attacking people. People feel like that wouldn't happen, but the proliferation of every terrorist organization. Would you want any kind of nuke capability brought into the country of the United States or Saudi Arabia or anything else? This would close the door. And honestly, it reminds me when Schwarzkopf told Bush Sr., hey, let's go to Baghdad. And we didn't. And look what happened. I'm sure Trump is probably in that same high-stress environment right now.
Another piece of calculation, too. And again, during the briefing today, and I listened to everything Caroline says, with every single word. I want to parse every word that comes out because she's in these briefings. She's in with the top of the top, the secretaries, the top advisors. So she's hearing these things, she's writing them down. She said, I haven't heard this before, Iran already has everything they need to assemble the bomb, which means they have enough enriched uranium, they have the device to deliver it, and the device to explode the bomb, which we haven't heard that before. She said they're just waiting for the Ayatollah to give them the signal. Is that new news, or is this a spin on what we've been hearing for many, many years that they're close?
Yeah, I agree. It actually got my attention, so I'm glad you addressed it, because when she said that, I was like, okay, that's a little bit different. We sort of tipped our hat. Are we saying that this is the way it is? And in all honesty, the best intelligence coming out of Iran is from the Israelis, because they have the entire country inundated with their intelligence operatives. So when she said that, I completely am with you. It's like, wait a minute. They were supposed to be in that 60 to 80% of enrichment. They got to be in 90% to get to weapons. So is there something more? And so since so much has happened and we've gotten into Iran so much deeper, was more intelligence brought out that they are on the cusp of having a weapon. Completely with you. And if anything, that would escalate the situation as far as the impending type of strike. And that would push me over the edge if I was sitting in President Trump's seat to say, yeah, we're going to go take that out. There is no way that's coming to the surface. Let's go do it. I agree with you completely.
I'm on a group thread with like 40 journalists in the Middle East and throughout Europe. And they're hearing these things. They're hearing the United States news, and they're hearing stuff coming directly from Iran. They're hearing from Israel as well. One thing that came out earlier today, and I sent it into the group, I said, if that happened, that might draw America into this war in a greater commitment level, kinetically even. There was word that the Iranians may think about closing the Strait of Hormuz, where somewhere around 20-25% of the world's oil moves through the Strait of Hormuz. That would spike oil prices, that would wreck economies around the world. And I know Trump is very, very cognizant of the price of oil. My point is, have you heard the rumblings of this? And if it were true, I think that would just force us to go ahead and just wipe out any Iranian ship vessel that's in the area of the Strait. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm glad you addressed it because not too many people have. Is look at the Air Force of the Iranian Air Force is wiped. Their anti-aircraft is wiped. They only have their missiles, and every time they fire it, Israelis are going after it because you're saying, "Here I am." But they didn't talk about the Navy, and I completely agree with you. Straits of Hormuz, they get shut down. That's the problem. So looking at the Navy because they can get closer to Diego Garcia, where our bombers are, or shut down that area. Absolutely. And so that's why I believe our fleets need to go there and make sure it doesn't happen. That's about the only thing that I could see Iran strategically impacting anything that would have my highest interest in on top of the nuclear threat.
Major, put a carrier strike group. I think there's one there. Put a second one in the area. Put one right in the strait and consider any Iranian vessel in the area as a threat and take them out. About right.
Yeah, we have the Fifth Fleet in Bahrain, and then you also have the Carl Vinson and Nimitz that's steaming there. So you're really going to have three, and you got to look at it. Yeah, you got to look at the ships, anything else that's out there, the mining. So yes, having the carrier groups there, both for protecting ourselves against missiles and so forth. But yeah, absolutely, the naval threat is something people haven't talked about. I'm really glad you brought it up.
And honestly, they should just tell them right now. Even if you're patrolling your Iranian flagged vessel, we're going to sink you. Or you just do not even approach the strait in that general area. This is a very, very important shipping channel for the world. Major, Glenn Ignazio, appreciate your time. Long time we did TV years and years ago, but good to see you again, my friend.
Absolutely. Great to see you too, Eric. Take care of yourself, man. Thanks for talking about these things.
Yep. You too, brother. We'll bring you back because this isn't going to end anytime soon that we can see. Thank you.
No.
All right, folks, we'll be back 2.5 minutes. Well, some folks, Democrats really don't want us to continue digging into the big Biden cover-up.
And my other question is, why is this important to know now? We got a lot of stuff to be concerned about at the moment.
When is Jake Tapper going to write a book about the cognitive decline of the person who is in charge right now?
Jake Tapper going to write a book? They're hoping that Tapper's book seals the deal and everyone can just move on. Happy now? Well, no, not really. Well, why? Because the Biden presidency did more damage in just 4 years than any other presidency in the history of this country. And we have to know just how much that cover-up played into the damage we see right now. It's more important now than ever it's been to understand how and why this happened. Democrats didn't have the guts to sit through a Senate hearing on the Biden dementia cover-up on Wednesday.
Not a single Democrat is here today because not a single one of them gives a damn about the fact that they lied to the American people for 4 years. They knew. Every one of them knew that Joe Biden was mentally not competent to do the job. The White House press secretary, she knew when she stood in front of the American people and lied over and over and over again. And they're not here because they can't defend themselves.
It matters that Joe Biden was degenerative. He was losing it because he's responsible for the very situation we find ourselves in with Iran right now.
Would you support an attack on Iran's nuclear sites by Israel?
The answer is no. I think there's things. We'll be discussing with the Israelis what they're going to do, but all 7 of us agree that they have a right to respond.
Just think about how stupid that statement is. Before I get into why it's so incredibly stupid, watch now how President Trump answers a similar question about strategy.
President, have you been answered questions about whether you are moving closer or you believe the U.S. is moving closer to striking Iranian nuclear facilities? Where's your mindset on that?
I can't say that, right? You don't seriously think I'm going to answer that question? Will you strike the Iranian nuclear component? And what time exactly, sir? Sir, would you strike it? Would you please inform us so we can be there and watch? I mean, you don't know that I'm going to even do it. You don't know. I may do it. I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do. I can tell you this, that Iran's got a lot of trouble.
Sir, can I get a press pass to watch the strike of the Iranian nuclear facility? See what he did? He embarrassed a stupid question by a stupid leftist liberal reporter. Ambiguity, strength. That's how you answer a question. Should Israel attack Iran's nuclear sites? Biden says no, which was perfectly in line with releasing $6 billion for Iran to expand their nuclear capabilities under Joe Biden. Ambiguity, Not knowing what Trump is going to do is the key deterrence. Not knowing what Trump is going to do, that's power. Biden's lack of mental acuity made that impossible. He always said what he was going to do. There was no secrets about Joe. He had none. He had no cards to play. What happened to keeping the adversary guessing? If our enemy knows that certain sites are off the target list, then our enemy can make plans, concentrate resources elsewhere. For what it's worth, Biden's always been garbage at foreign policy.
When I went over immediately after that happened, I said to Bibi, don't make the same mistake we made in America. We wanted to get bin Laden, and we'll help you get Sinwar. But we went into Afghanistan it made sense to go get bin Laden.
Really? Except that the truth is that Biden opposed the raid on bin Laden and counseled Barack Obama against it.
Mr. President, my suggestion is don't go. We have to do two more things to see if he's there. He walked out and said, I'll give you my decision.
That's right. He's always been, pardon my French, a dumbass at foreign policy, even having sat on the Foreign Relations Committee in the Senate. Turns out Biden was one of 2 no votes to go get bin Laden. His logic, he didn't want to upset Pakistan, the same Pakistan that was harboring and protecting that known terrorist. Always been garbage at foreign policy. Put a Biden with dementia running the free world, finger on those nuclear codes, making it possible for Iran, to go nuclear? Of course. Americans deserve answers to these questions. And who was also guiding this ridiculously stupid and lax global policy regarding Iran? Well, I give you Robert Malley. By the way, who's Robert Malley, you may ask? Well, Biden took hundreds of naps on a beach in Delaware. There was an Iranian spy and a spy ring going on right under his nose on the beach. Robert Malley was Biden's Middle East whisperer. Oh, he's under FBI investigation for passing classified information to Tehran right now. No big deal, just massive treason happening right under Dementia Joe's watch. And he's one of the masterminds of Biden's dangerously inept foreign policy that has now put our country at this massive risk. Malley was part of Obama's disastrous nuclear deal too. Watch.
Today, after 2 years of negotiations, the United States, together with our international partners, has achieved something that decades of animosity has not. A comprehensive long-term deal with Iran that will prevent it from obtaining a nuclear weapon.
Obama's only excuse for bending the knee to Iran was his hatred of America and his hostility towards Israel. Well known. Biden's mental decline and the fact that his own presidency was Obama 3.0 means that he continued in that vein, which clearly leads to the mess we're in today. Or maybe, just maybe, Joe Biden's obsession with trying to take out his political opponent was yet another crucial distraction. Turns out that internal FBI email reveals that the Biden's DOJ, their obsession with finding new ways to file criminal charges against President Trump, took them off the ball for everything else that was going on in the world. So a mental decline combined with a fervent need to take down his political opponent. Trump sounds like a deranged madman, was at the helm of the country for 4 years. Damage was being done. Americans deserve answers now. And sorry, Democrats, we're not moving on until we have those answers. All right, folks, 2.5 minutes. We'll be back. All right, welcome back. Democrats, well, they've become extremely comfortable taking things way too far. That's what they like to do, whether it's their comments on TV or their obnoxious protests. Everything this party does seems to go at least one step over the line. Jim Acosta, remember him from CNN, just made a comment about Trump's deceased ex-wife, Ivana, not Ivanka, Ivana, the wife. That I would say lands over the line category. Listen to this deranged rant about ICE and immigration.
I got a question, though. Where are the ICE raids at the Trump properties? Yes. Can somebody call ICE on the Trump golf course in Virginia?
Yes.
You're telling me there's nobody in there that is undocumented or has some kind of squirreliness going on with their paperwork? Give me a break. Hey, how many immigrants has he married? He's got one buried at his golf course in New Jersey. Isn't she buried by the first hole or the second tee or something like that?
The first hole, yeah, it's the first hole.
Immigrants always doing the jobs that Americans don't want to do.
What a disrespectful SOB, Jim Acosta. Next clip, absolutely insane. The craziest part is that my source for this video is Eric Swalwell's Twitter account, X account. That's right, folks. The disturbing anti-immigration ad that you're about to see came right off Swalwell's X account. Roll the clip.
I had a really good time today.
Yeah, me too. I really look.
What are you doing?
She's coming with us.
What are you talking about? Who are you?
I'm your Republican congressman. Now that we're in charge, we're rounding up illegals.
She was born here. She's a citizen.
I don't care. She looks like one of them. But don't worry. When she's in prison in El Salvador, she'll have lots of company.
People are gross. They're disgusting. Anna Navarro claims to be a Republican, but she's not. Wants us to believe that deporting illegals is going to drive up milk prices here in the United States. Listen to this ridiculous lie.
And look, what's going to happen here is that we're going to find that milk gets a lot higher, because I don't know if any of you have ever been in a dairy farm. It is god-awful work. We're going to see that groceries and vegetables are higher. We're going to see an effect in our economy, because whether people like it or not, whether Americans acknowledge it or not, undocumented immigrants are an integral part of our society and our economy. And we're going to have to get used to seeing the videos of U.S. citizens detained, of U.S. citizen children being ripped from the arms of their mothers and while they wail, of, you know, dads and moms and business owners. Yeah, we're going to have to get used.
So first of all, they're breaking the law if they're here. Second of all, if they're not illegals doing the work, then Americans will be doing the work. Will they be paid a higher wage? Maybe, probably. Will prices go up? Maybe a little bit, but there's more money in the American economy, folks. I mean, that higher wages create more tax revenue for bigger government, which I'm against anyway. But you can't have illegals come in here taking American jobs. You just can't do it, Anna Navarro. So no, there's nothing wrong with deporting people who are here illegally. Come here legally, get visas, great. Get a work visa. It's easy. Takes a little bit of time. Get your work visa. You can stay. MSNBC cut off Pete Hegseth, their Secretary of Defense, as he was listing some of Trump's tremendous border success stories from last month. Listen to how quickly they closed the curtains and tried to change the topic.
As was mentioned by the chairman, we are working to achieve 100% operational control of the border. Illegal crossings have decreased 99.9%, and it was just reported today that CBP released 0 illegals into the U.S. last month, down from 62,000 released into the interior.
Secretary of Defense Hegseth talking about the Pentagon's budget there on the right side of your screen. On the left, there's President Trump. He just stepped out of the White House, constructing some very towering flags on the north and south lawns.
Wow, they couldn't handle it. Let's cut away. Hold on. He's speaking the truth. We can't have real truth on this network. Now it doesn't fit the narrative. MSDNC, Sonny Hostin, another View person, decided to weigh in on the Israel-Iran conflict, and she immediately showed us all just how little she knows about anything. Listen to her try and explain why Israel's strike on Iran was what she says problematic.
That's what I think is very problematic, because what people aren't talking about is that Israel preemptively struck Iran. And so I think the conversation would be very different if another country preemptively sent missiles to this country, right? No one would be saying, this is fine with...
Sure. Because I think that the Iranians and the Israelis believe that Iran would like to completely destroy Israel. That Iran is an actual existential threat to Israel.
But that does
so
not...
So they're saying, if you're trying to kill us, we want a nuclear bomb. And we don't want you to have a nuke.
That is fine, but you have to do that legally and under international law.
Well, Iran's launched tons of missiles against Israel in the last few years.
You're not supposed to do this.
I'm not sure Iran does things illegally.
But under international law, Israel should not be preemptively striking another country.
Oh, Sonny, October 7th, 2023, Iran, or one of their proxies, Hamas, slaughtered 1,400 innocent Jewish young kids going to a music festival. Is that your international law that you're talking about, Sonny Hostin? Just shut the hell up, please. Chicago Mayor, Let's Go Brandon Johnson, just add another one-liner to his list of idiotic quotes. This was a bad one. He wants us to think that Trump is trying to rid America of black people. Those are his words, folks, not mine. Listen to this guy.
much like we fought for civil rights 60 years ago. We're going to continue to make sure that whether you are black, brown, Asian, white, young, old, working people deserve to be prioritized. And this misnomer that there's division, and consternation within communities solely based on this issue is just wrong. He's working to eliminate black history. He is trying to eliminate black existence from this country, but he's also attacking the LGBTQ+.
I wouldn't say he's trying to eliminate black existence.
We're going to bring people together in this country to make sure we build the safest, most affordable big city in America.
It's bad when even a CNN host tries to rein in the horrible rhetoric that a liberal progressive would spew on their network. She said, I don't think he's trying to eliminate black people from the country. This guy, listen, I don't know. Can African Americans be called racist? Because if they can, that man is he's Harvard textbook racist for saying the things he says about Trump and MAGA supporters. AOC thinks we need to rein in the media. I wonder why. Why now? Why does she all of a sudden think that now is the time to rein in the media when they've been peddling toxic and defamatory lies about Republicans for years? They hid Joe Biden's dementia for the last 4 years, but now the media needs to be reined in, according to AOC.
I do think that several members of Congress in some of my discussions have brought up media literacy because that is a part of what happened here. And we're going to have to figure out how we rein in our media environment so that you can't just spew disinformation and misinformation. It's one thing to have differing opinions, but it's another thing entirely to just say things that are false. And so that's something that we're looking into.
Mayorkas said the border is just fine. There's nothing broken about the border. 20 million people came in. You heard Ron Vitiello say that. They said Joe Biden was peak of his game, right? Joe Scarborough, peak of his game 2 weeks before he was bounced for Kamala Harris. The media lies. They lied. The legacy media lies. The legacy media is historically liars. But I'm just curious how AOC now thinks they need to rein in the legacy media when they've been doing it forever. And they've been trashing Trump for the better part of 20 years. Before we head to break, I want to remind you about the podcast and YouTube page. Again, updated daily, all the stuff. Just hit one of those places: Rumble, Apple, YouTube, Spotify, iHeart, Other, come to Rav, go to Getter, you go anywhere. Just hit subscribe, please. Whatever you do, hit subscribe. Also, we got some voicemails coming up. You're going to love this segment. I absolutely love this. I've listened to every single one that came in, and literally, I got a flood of voicemails coming in. When we mentioned this yesterday, there's the number. Leave you a message. I'll see if I can get some in tomorrow as well. But we're going to read some. We're going to play some for you right after the break. All right. I challenge you not to have fun with this segment because actually I asked you for calling in. Just call us in on the voicemail. I said I'd play some of them. I got inundated. You guys are great. I love it. I can't read them all. I can't play them all for you, but let's go through these. Let's, Benny, pull up Steve first, who apparently loves the show. Listen.
Hey, man, this is Steve Hanks from the great state of West Virginia. Just want to say this: you have an absolutely wonderful show. I've been watching it ever since it came on, and you're spot on about virtually, I would say 100% of everything. And just keep up the good work, and God bless. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for that, Steve. Awesome. Again, some of you folks got really into some of the stuff. Take a listen to John from Virginia.
Hey, my name is John Kessler. I live in Blackstone, Virginia, Nottoway County. I support President Trump 100%. Somebody should have took out the Iranians a long time ago.
Yep, I think he's right. He went on to say a couple of things we couldn't play on the air, but again, keep them pithy, keep them short, 10, 15, 20 seconds. These are great. Al from Florida had some ideas for immigration. Listen.
Eric Bolling, my name's Al Gerner, calling from Florida, D-Land, Florida, right in the center. We need Tom Homan to come out and publicly say, look into the cameras, point into the living rooms of the illegal aliens in this country and tell them, if you vote, you're gone.
This is really, really good idea, right? Homan and Noam, if they come out and President Trump saying, if we find out you voted and you're an illegal, you're gone. You'll never come back. We're not going to give you citizenship, even if you try and come in the right way. You're done. I think it's a great idea. We'll stop them from voting one way or another. Now, this young lady, great comment about Israel. And listen to the next two, because I'll set this up this way. The first one has an opinion on what we or they should do about Israel and Iran. And the next one may be a counterpoint on the first one. Take a listen.
Hi, Eric. I think we should focus on our illegals and our big, beautiful bill and let Israel focus on Iran. Do not want to see anybody killed.
Yeah,
thank you.
Very common, very, very, very common opinion amongst the conservative folks. Again, everyone, we follow Trump. We voted him in. He's the commander in chief. We'll follow what he does. Other people have different ideas. That lady says, let Israel handle Iran. Here's another idea.
Oh, yeah. And if Donald Trump wants to smoke Iran, I'll light the match. This is Embry, Metairie, Louisiana. Metairie. Yeah, y'all. God bless you.
Well, God bless you too, Embry from Metairie, Louisiana. She said if Trump wants to smoke Iran, she light the match. Awesome. All right. Philip from Idaho also likes the show.
Hi, my name is Philip. I live here in Meridian, Idaho. I watch you on 22.1 on America's Voice Live. I enjoy your show immensely. Keep up the good work. God bless you, man.
Thank you. God bless you too. Again, folks, send them in. Send your thoughts in about the show. Great. You got problems? Great. Let us know. Let us know what you think about Iran, Israel, border, immigration, anything. Trump, what the MAGA, what's going on in the perceived MAGA split, what you think we should do, they should do, what MAGA should do. And then one more. Let's just do one more. Cindy from Tennessee.
Hi, my name is Cindy McAllister. I'm calling from Tennessee. Iran mentioned a surprise. What do you think it is? Multiple choice. Number one, drop a nuclear bomb. Number two, activate terrorist cells. Or number three, opening a Hooters in Tehran. Have a good one, Eric.
Cindy from Tennessee. That would be a surprise, wouldn't it? The Hooters of Tehran, folks. All right, very quickly, I got to get to this. I was listening to Fox, and it pissed me off beyond belief. This guy, Trey Gowdy, don't like him. And he took a shot at our friend Steve Bannon and Tucker Carlson, but Steve Bannon, listen.
He is MAGA. He is America first. So when you are that, you get to define what that means. And again, I keep coming back to the point that there are several critics, too. One used to be on television, I think. The other used to be in prison, I think. Those are the two main critics. Together, they have received 0 electoral votes for president. Neither one of them has the guts to run. So either run for president to be the commander-in-chief or critique in private, or better yet, shut up.
And just to answer your question on why don't they critique him in private, I would posit that then they'll miss all that attention on social media for doing it publicly.
No, you're so cynical, John. Why'd you get so cynical?
Hey, Trey Gowdy, Steve Bannon has more guts in his little finger than you got in your body. And Tucker Carlson, love him or hate him, doesn't matter. He's done more. He's accomplished more than you ever will. Trey, time for you to shut the hell up.